that providing this training for extension agents and for NRCS personnel was important in order to show them what sustainable agriculture means to us and some different types of operations that are very successful within the area. We feel that now they can take this knowledge on to other landowners and just show them what it's all about and provide them the guidelines and the feedback and the knowledge of what they may need to do to begin their own operation. So sustainability to me means lots of different things, but first and foremost it's taking care of the land, just not for us but for the generations to come in the future. But also it means profitability, and for us we do everything first to take care of the soil, the plants and the animals, the wildlife that are here, the animals that we're producing, but it also has to be profitable to allow us to continue to do it.
Sustainable agriculture to me is using the land so that, to make it a little cliche, so that the seventh generation can still be have good land available that's nourishing and still doing what we want it to do, which is feed us. It means taking care of the erosion. It means making sure there's lots of biodiversity. It means watching so that it's better than when you received it.
Making a good living off the land you have. For my case, sustainability for someone who's doing it as a hobby may be getting away from herbicides, pesticides, added inputs.
I would say primarily though for the sustainability factor would be an environmentally friendly farming practice. That means from the ground up as far as how we raise the animals and the environment that they're in, so it's welfare friendly, so they're allowed to be their full genetic potential. So a chicken isn't in a cage, they're allowed to do what a chicken does, which is go scratch around in the dirt and look for insects and grass seed and stuff like that, all the way up to the way that we move our animals for soil conservation purposes so we're not overgrazing.
Sustainability to me means that we can keep it going with or without our help. But for the business to be sustainable, it has to be economically sustainable. If there's nobody buying honey or buying any of our products, and if we can't keep the bees alive, then it's not sustainable anymore.
So deciding to come back here to the ranch was an easy decision for us. Travis and I had met in 2007, and in 2010 he was ready to come back to the ranch and I was ready to come with him. I grew up on a farm down in McAllen and I love the ranch up here in Dehennis, so it was a no-brainer for us. We didn't know what we were getting into, but we knew we wanted to be here.
I would say for 60, 70 years it was a conventional operation. And then in the last 15, we've gone, about 15 years we've gone.
20 years.
Is it 20 now? Oh yeah.
20.
Yeah, it's been 25. Yeah. Janelle has been a big help in doing this. She is more detailed than I am, so she can see things and analyze it in a different way than I would. So that's been a big benefit. But the flavor of the meat is the biggest thing, and we find that in the farmer's market where we're going with it, people say, wow, this tastes different than I've tasted before in beef.
The lifestyle we have, we're lucky. We get to live here. We get to be outside. We get to watch the animals. We get to watch the seasons and the cycles, and the growing and the dying and the changes. We get to learn all the time about how does water behave, how does grass behave, how does the erosion behave, how are the cattle doing on this. We get to learn and be part of all that. That's fun. We're also working to, because it's a heritage ranch, we're working to make it viable so that the next generation of our family can participate and do with that as well.
I'm a sixth generation Texan. We've always been tied to the land down here in Live Oak County for 100 years this year. My Uncle Holman at Cartwright and Claire Lucas started this ranch. It was a traditional cattle ranch and crop farming, everything, Jerusalem artichokes, cantaloupes, you name it. Raised Hereford cattle for years, then crossbred cattle. Dad was very into planting Bermuda grass. I came home from A&M as a history major and started raising goats. Loved it. My father was raising cattle. As my father got older, I took on more. Dropped out a couple of times, had to go do other things, but came back with a fervor for direct marketing. And that took me to sheep because it was something even an idiot could finish. Grew a direct lamb marketing business primarily in Austin, Texas, to restaurants and farmers markets. Found success, loved it. Along the way, I bought 59 pigs, quickly grew to 400.
My operation here is dairy farming, and I'm selling raw for retail. I've got my raw for retail permit through the state of Texas. But we started here as a commercial dairy, selling to the, marketing our milk. We marketed through AMPI at first, American Milk Producers, which later was Dairy Farmers of America. But we have been in business for, well, over 50 years. My father-in-law was in business 50 years. When we moved out here, we were milking when we finally, decided we were milking for 30 years, sold the cows in 2008 because the dairy industry has really become hard. We were, the price was such that we weren't making anything on our product. When we sold out, we were getting like $12 per hundredweight, and the dairy operation is just it's a roller coaster ride. It's federally controlled, as far as our market, as far as our price. So we just had to make a decision because there was his brother, my husband's brother, and his family, and then my son and his family, and myself and my husband. So there were several families to have to survive on that, what we were making, and so we decided to sell our milk cows in 2008. So at that time, we still had our heifers. And when the heifers started calving in, well, then I decided, my husband and I talked, and we decided that we wanted to get our raw for retail permit and sell milk to the public. My husband and I have been married it'd be 43 years in February, and this is all we've done. We've just dairied, and I just can't imagine any other way of life. We've raised 3 boys here, and my husband's one of 10 kids, and they were all raised on dairy and had your chores. All our kids, my oldest son is 5th generation dairy farmer. He worked the operation until 2008 when we did sell, and it's just a way of life that we love.
It's allowed us to come back to my family's farm, which has been in my family since 1846, primarily just a cattle production business. And so we've diversified away from that in order to not just keep the ranch going, but to improve the land. And so hopefully someday we can leave it in better shape than it was, and somebody else can continue to produce something from it.
I just had a real passion to keep bees, and I don't know where that came from, but a friend of mine had bees, and the first time I looked at them, I knew I wanted to do it, and when that passion doesn't go away after 30 years, you picked the right thing to do. So that's kind of how I got started.
The ranch operation, being able to come back to the ranch has really strengthened our relationship with our families. Travis and myself are happy and content, and we know that we want to raise our family in this type of a lifestyle. We're fortunate that we are on this land with his parents, and so we've really gotten to strengthen our relationship working with them. They help with so much of what we do, and we couldn't do it without them. We decided to raise poultry here in addition to our cattle, mainly because they had a quick return on our investment, and we felt that they wouldn't be as destructive to the land in our tough drought conditions, and it ended up being a great addition to the farm. So in our processing facility, we can raise up to 10,000 birds a year, and we do about that many. We also have about 700 laying hens that produce throughout the year that we're continuing to replace laying hens all the time. So we have quite a few birds. We also have we raised about 600 turkeys this year. So our numbers are pretty high, and it takes a lot of work to do that. It's pretty labor intensive.
I started out with a flavor of the beef that was different, that we really liked. The ranch here was in the family, and it's been handed down through generations. So we had it, and I could see the grass was deteriorating and more brush coming, so things started adding up to try to get rid of the brush and get a type of animal genetics that would utilize the grass more.
And I've grown to see that pigs are sort of they're drought proof. Not raining, they eat more feed. It is raining, they eat less feed. They're easy to handle if you spend the time with them. And people eat pork. I had no idea. I grew up eating venison, armadillo, and beef. And bacon's pretty good.
I've now built up my business to where I've got a waiting list. I am down in production. I'm milking 13 cows. Holstein Jersey Cross, and a few purebred jerseys. I've raised everything, all of the animals that I'm milking. Right now, with the production that I have, I do have a waiting list because the supply and demand has really increased. There's a lot of health-conscious people out there that prefer the raw milk over the pasteurized milk. The raw milk has digestible proteins and enzymes that are present in the raw milk that are lost during pasteurization. So there are many people that are lactose intolerant that found that they can drink the raw milk, but when they drink the pasteurized, it upsets their stomach. So that's a feedback that I've gotten. Plus just a lot of people that prefer doing the natural way rather than, something that's been pasteurized, homogenized, whatever. They just want the raw milk. So I do have an inspector, the same inspector that, we had when we were shipping our milk for all those years. And he comes out once a month. So the milk is tested. So that gives you a good feeling too, because you know that it's a good, good, clean product, and I like that. I like to know where we stand, with our quality counts and everything. So, but we have never had a problem with that, but it's just good to know that it's available and that it's there. So.
We got into pastured poultry primarily for one reason. We were young and didn't have much capital to be able to contribute to other enterprises. Pastured poultry is one of the only farming enterprises, sustainable farming enterprises that a person could pursue that has the quick return on investment, 8 to 10 weeks, and you have your money back. And that's the primary reason we ventured into pastured poultry, but it also has its added benefits as far as pasture management. Chickens can really help, if managed properly, turn degraded landscapes into very productive ones. Primary reason for getting back into farming, ranching, was for the lifestyle. At the time I was working abroad in India, And I really wanted to come back to the ranch, but didn't know how to make it work for us, meaning Mandy and I. And so my primary inspiration was Joel Salatin wrote a book called Pastured Poultry for Profit. And I read it and I'm thinking, wow, this could actually maybe work. Nobody's doing it in San Antonio yet. It's going on all over the United States on the East and West Coast and the Midwest, Pennsylvania area. But nobody had really pursued it in our local area. And so we gave it a go. So in addition to the pasture poultry, we do process the animals on site in a exempt PL 9492 processing facility. And exempt meaning we are exempt from daily inspection on the days that we process. Our health inspector shows up about once a quarter. We do have some basic regulations that we have to follow as far as water quality standards, so we get water testing done for E. coli and salmonella. And we have to, of course, have the facility cleaned to certain standards, and it's built to certain standards as well. Which is that was probably our largest upfront investment, was the processing facility. At the time in 2010 when we built it, it cost us about $35,000 to build our facility, and that was with me doing the labor, not hiring somebody to build it for us. That includes the equipment involved as far as the plucker, the scalder, and the stainless steel tables, and everything inside the facility as well was about that size of investment, which is considerable for somebody who doesn't have much capital.
We sell, the rule of the farmer's market is that we sell what we produce. And we produce honey, we produce beeswax, and we produce pollen. And so we take all of those things. We also are able to increase our bees every spring. And if we have enough bees, we'll also sell bees. There is a great interest in beekeeping. And that's relatively new also. And so that's another good product for us, and again helps us sustain our business. If our mission is to increase the number of bees in our area, obviously we can't do that all by ourselves. So we offer beekeeping classes to students who have never kept bees before, and they're always full, and we always feel like it's a very rewarding experience for us to launch new beekeepers. Most of them will just keep a hive or two in the backyard or on the farm, and some will actually grow into a business. We have a couple of students who have developed small businesses following their first class. It's taken a few years, but they're on the road to having a viable business.
So we market our products mainly to the farmers markets. We sell to the Pearl Farmers Market and also to the Corey Farmers Market, which have been greatly beneficial to us. But we also do some wholesale to some local restaurants in San Antonio and a country store. So it's a little bit of diversity, not to just rely on just the farmers market. So the restaurants are great, as well as some buying clubs, so groups that come out and purchase in bulk and then distribute it to other families.
Our marketing, we first started off by direct marketing and shipping in a 25-pound box. Since we've gone to the farmers market, we're selling more beef, we're getting exposed more, and right now we're running about 35 head of cows. We were up to 80 or so, but due to the drought we have had to cut back, but we've also maintained our grass. And then we also have sold to a grass-fed beef alliance that goes to Whole Foods. When I had 80 head, we could not market all of them locally, so we went to this alliance and got a premium. So yeah, it helps.
That's the fun part, is seeing the people and talking to them and hearing what they're trying and hearing what their successes have been and how they've changed their life or what they're learning. And it's a growth process, and it's fun and it's rewarding to be part of that, to know that what I'm doing matters to them.
Marketing's a key. Now we're doing 4 pigs a week through direct marketing to companies and restaurants. What I've learned through my market is they want a local product first, they want free range, they want a non-GMO feed if you can do it and not kill yourself. They want familiarity with the farmer, the rancher. They want to know who you are and what your family's like and see pictures of what you're doing. And it needs to taste good, and it needs to be at least price competitive.
The demand is there. Customers just come and go. I am on the honor system. I have a table in the milk room there with a box and a book that they sign in when they come in, and the milk is in the refrigerator. But right now they're calling me to reserve milk because, like I said, I'm down in supplies.
I would say revenues have grown by like 3 to 5% a month at these farmers markets for the past 5 years, which is a considerable sales growth. And so as far as our expenses for attending the farmers markets, including like vendor fees and travel expenses driving in and out of San Antonio, which is an hour away, the sales have seemed to certainly outpace the increase in expenses. And we can retail at a much higher price at the farmers markets versus what we could wholesale, for example, which we also do to restaurants and a small grocer.
You know, it's really hard to count. We've talked about that. It's hard to count how many people attend, but it's going to be in the thousands. We market our products mainly at the Pearl Farmers Market in San Antonio, and it's just a large, very well attended farmers market, and again, it helps us with that economic sustainability. We can sell most of our products at a retail price, and just helps us fund expansion, expand or grow the number of hives that we have. We sell a small amount through retail outlets, but probably 90% of our sales are directly to customers, and we like that customer interaction. It's educational for them and for us, and it again makes us more economically sustainable.
The environmental conditions that we have out here on the ranch with the drought have been one of our biggest challenge. We feel it is our priority to take care of the land and still make a profit off of it. Doing chickens and poultry, such as turkeys, has allowed us to do that with minimal impact to the land. And we have to change it up all the time. So if something's not working right now because of the drought, then we will change our practices and maybe modify in the future.
I think in the drought, the 7 years drought, we can say it's terrible, but it has actually shown us ways to where we can be sustainable even in a drought with what we do to the ranch, from brush control to water absorption to where it can absorb more. 15 inches of rain is good grass rain if it all goes in the ground. Improving the grass comes to retaining the moisture. So we've done a couple of things. One is the more grass you get that shades the ground in this hot summers that we have will keep that moisture in the ground. The other is this deep chisel, fracturing that old hard dry dirt on top where it doesn't run off and where it can go down. Very, very noticeable. If we retain the water, we have put a creek, a mile of a creek that was eroding out of the banks into a riparian area. And it's been there about a year now, and we're already seeing results of more grass, trees falling, causing more organic matter debris on the ground. And we will rotate it as we do the other pastures, but we've got 4 pastures for the cows, and we rotate every 2 to 3 weeks. But part of that rotation will be on this 15 acres that's in this creek riparian area. Will the creek start flowing? I don't know, but you're going to hear me hoop and holler clear down to the coast if it does.
The environmental aspect, you know, we do not fertilize. Everything is natural. So I feel like as far as the environment, you know, with us not fertilizing and, you know, everything that we do whenever we raise, you know, our coastal for hay or our grazer, you know, for hay grazer, and just, you know, the natural route, which is what our customers want. And when they graze in the back here, the back pasture back here, right now it is starting to green up a little bit. They haven't been able to do much grazing because of the drought. We've really been down in rain, so there's just hadn't been anything for them to eat. We don't have irrigation. So we are just feeding oats, which is a non-GMO, you know, oats with some molasses to cut down on the dust, and then hay that we've raised.
From what we've seen, our chickens improve the land. Say, for instance, if we have like a bare spot of soil that's kind of got the hard crust on top and stuff like that, and we put the chickens right on that spot on purpose so they can get in there, scratch around, get the soil moving, and add the manure to that spot, so we're getting the microbial life going again. And over the 4 to 5 years that we've been doing this, we've seen in those places where we did have a lot of bare soil a dramatic improvement over the period of time. And so, you know, it's not just a concern because we don't get much rain, but water equals money to us because it grows grass, and that's how we make our living is we're grass farmers. We're not really poultry, and all that stuff is just a byproduct of the grass. We've made some minor water conservation improvements up to this point, primarily using a subsoiler on our pastures and subsoiling on the keyline contour. By keyline, I'm referring to PA humans out of Australia with keyline design. In the near future, we plan to do swales and small ponds at primary points on the ranch. And that would be our primary water conservation work that we've done so far, adding to the seed bank and introducing other forbs and legumes that have been decimated by years of overgrazing.
Well, without the bees, we wouldn't have a lot of the food. And we wouldn't have a lot of the flowers that we enjoy too. And bees are just great pollinators, extremely industrious insects, and they love to go out and pollinate plants as they eat themselves. And without them, our world would be totally different. We're trying to increase the number of bees in our area by adding more of our own hives. So every year we try to increase our number of hives and put them at different locations. We're now in about 5 different counties in our area, and so we're always trying to grow our number of bees, but we're also trying to grow the number of beekeepers through our classes.
I would love to have beef cattle. The pig operation is the main one. Entertainment, live, wildlife, that kind of thing. It just sort of like a 3-legged stool. I think it's tough when you got all your eggs in one basket. We're hoping to get away from inputs that rust. I mean, and the extension services help me refigure that.
I feel that I do make a profit with the raw milk. I sell my milk for $6.50 per gallon, which is definitely a lot more than what we were getting for our product when we sold. It is 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and it's my husband and I. My husband does have another job, which he had to take after we sold in 2008 because we definitely need more money, cost of living.
We started Gretchen Bee Ranch about 5 years ago And you know, it took a couple of years to be profitable. It takes because we're always trying to expand, so we're putting our what would be our profits back into the business, and so we don't really worry too much about it. But it, you know, it took a little time to become profitable. For most of my beekeeping experience, I was a hobby beekeeper, and you know, you're always spending money on your hobby, and we didn't mind that either because it wasn't a burden. But once the business started, we just, you know, it took a couple of years, I would say, maybe 3 years to begin to turn a profit.
So having a direct relationship with our customers is one of the greatest things about what we do. We take a lot of pride in what we raise, and our customers really appreciate everything that we do. And for me, it brings them closer to the land and makes them want to protect it, and that means everything to us. So if we can bring people and connect them to the land through their food, then I feel like we're doing something right. We feel like there's a big benefit to our local community to produce the kind of food that we do. We can have people come locally and buy off the farm. They purchase our chicken, our turkeys, and our eggs. And so there's a real sense of community with our local friends and family around this area. And we do believe that there's a place for other types of operations, and we're just glad that we can contribute to our local community.
The community comes together in small farms and helps each other. That's occurring with us, with Travis. One of the things that we've found at the farmers market, and even people that want to come buy meat here, they want to feel the essence of the history and what has gone on here.
Being in this business, the direct marketing business, whether it's rabbits or emu, enhances your quality of life by all the wonderful people that you meet that want your product. And they're people who are soulful and thoughtful. They're not doing it because it's a fad. They're doing it because they truly believe in good food.
I feel like I'm helping the community from a social aspect because of the demand. I have a lot of people that come from Utopia, you know, from surrounding areas, from Utopia, Bergheim, San Antonio, Del Rio, you know, from all over. So, and I've had so many people say, you know, that they appreciate what we do. They're glad that the raw milk is available to them. So, you know, socially, I feel like that we are doing a service to our community and folks out of town that prefer that way of life, you know, prefer the natural route.
And as far as benefiting the local economy, like we said before, everything's done within a 150-mile radius as far as sales go. So we're keeping that money local. They're buying our stuff, giving us the money, and then we're only purchasing as much as we can from local businesses. You know, for example, our feed is purchased from Llano, which is about 120 miles from here, and which is a large portion of the money that we receive goes towards feed, which is our largest expense for the chickens. So we're keeping that money in a local economy. Our sustainable farming operation improves the quality of life for our family because we do get to run the business together, and that's all the way from production to sales. And so we get to make our own schedule, and if we need a day off together, whether it's maybe not just a Saturday or Sunday, but a Monday or Tuesday, we can do that. Go see family and friends. So it really does come down to like a better quality of life for us because it's a family-run operation.
I think our products are contributing to the community because they rely on bees to be produced, and the bees contribute to our community. Without the bees, we wouldn't have, they estimate about a third of the food that we have on our plate every day. And our mission is really not to sell honey. Our mission is to help repopulate the bees in our area, which we know have fallen on hard times. So we really feel like we're helping the community by restocking the bees in our region, and that's really what we're mainly about. The beekeeping has improved our life because we get to work together to do something we love to do. It's just very rewarding to work with each other. Always tell my beginning beekeeping students not to do it unless they have, the support of their significant other. And I do, and it just makes it so much more fun and so much easier when we both enjoy it.
It is a lot of work raising poultry on a scale that such as we are. But my biggest suggestions is to start small. Start with something that you can rely on, such as laying hens. They're a hardy bird, and there's a great market for their eggs. So if you're not sure of exactly what you want to do, play around with a little bit of everything. So just don't focus on the numbers right at first. Just start small and then work your way up slowly. We really are passionate about education, so we would like to put more focus into our education program by providing opportunities for people to come out here, kids and adults, to learn about where their food comes from and the ecology of the land as well.
We'll keep the grass going. I'd like to do more brush control. I want to do more deep chiseling. And I need to be on that tractor right now. To start off a grass-fed beef operation, two ways, I guess. One, you can have money and convince somebody with money to back you, or you can go slow. I'm here on this ranch that my grandfather built this old barn in 1910, and so it's been a slower process for us. I would like to, they need to research breeds. They need to research what works in whatever locality they're in.
Jerry's been an educator as well, and part of what he does is bring people and young people that need work, or people in high school, or part of the family, to bring them out here and give them productive work that they can get their hands in the land and carry it as a piece of them.
If you want to get into this business, be ready to work. I think it needs to be a family business. It's really nice when everybody's on board because it does inhale a lot of time. Be ready for rejection and people saying no, but be ready to have a great life and enjoy it. Do your paperwork and make sure that you're big enough to achieve the financial goals that you want to achieve. Is it a hobby or a full-time job or where in between? And make sure you pay yourself first, because as farmers we don't value our time. And I think for people who have retired and they want to get into this on their afterwards, they're used to being paid. So they may have a whole lot more sense about this than someone that grew up farming, and we don't value our time like we should.
With the raw milk dairy, there are quite a few different, like I said, there's more stringent rules than there are when you're shipping milk. You have to have a separate room for your jugs, because naturally you have to buy your jugs. So just getting everything set up, like following the rules and regulations of having a raw milk dairy.
Our primary challenge from the beginning for our operation was predator control. And what we learned is that predator control does not work. Predator prevention does. And for our operation, we've used livestock guardian dogs such as Great Pyrenees and Anatolian Shepherds we've trained them to guard our livestock. So it's predator prevention, not control. Just take it slow and grow into what you want to do. This is not something that you just start out as big as you can, as fast as you can, because there's not a lot of people who have done this kind of stuff around our local area. What I mean by that is Texas in general. So there's a lot to be learned, and there are a lot of mistakes still to be made, and those mistakes can be very costly. So it's good to start small and take your time and really do your research.
For new beekeepers who want to start a beekeeping business, it's a good opportunity. There is a huge demand for local honey. People eat it for nutrition reasons, also for allergy relief. And so the demand for local honey is just huge. And so I think it's a good time right now if people are interested in beekeeping as a business to get into it. Just be sure you're committed and doing it for the right reasons. I don't do it for money. I do it because I love working with the bees. And I think if you go into it with the right motivation, you can be very successful. When I started beekeeping 30 years ago, there were about 3 different things that could go wrong, and now there's about 20. So it's harder. We have Africanized bees in this area, which can be a problem. We have a lot of different parasites and diseases that weren't around 30 years ago. So it's more challenging, and a lot of people have dropped out for those reasons, and a lot of people try and they don't succeed for those reasons. But all of those things can be managed, and you just have to be committed, you have to work hard, you have to be determined, so that when a hive dies, you learn from it and you go on and you pick up and try again. And so it's like anything else.
It's a respect for our Mother Earth that was put here. It's such a beautiful thing for us to be able to wake up here every morning and interact with it.
I think of providing the local community a connection to the countryside, showing their children that food doesn't come from the grocery store, that actually someone raises it, so a little bit of reality. And I'm letting them know that all these ranches out here behind fences aren't just somebody's playground, but it's a place where people work hard to make a living. It's not what they see on TV. I'm trying to do something different, good, bad, or indifferent. We're going to try, because we're farmers.
There's a lot of value in holding trainings such as these for NRCS personnel and for extension agents that focus on sustainable agriculture. There's lots of great resources out there that can be taken to landowners, such as through the SARE program and through the ATRA program. Providing a training like this, the agents and personnel can take this knowledge to other landowners and show them what they may be able to do and provide the knowledge and resources that they might need to start their own operation. Is my hat okay on?
Yeah.
Good, because it's not coming off.
No, it looks good. That was really good.
All right, the first part was a little bit of a struggle, so you might need a chop chop.
No, let's see.
Well, we've got these calves coming in here. They like what we're saying, I guess.
Well, I can tell you how you spell sustainability. It's PROFITABLE. You need to be profitable.
How would you define sustainability for your, oh, got a beard.
You got it.
Oh.
Okay, now
That's what we're gonna put in.
I know, right?
you're on tape.
Okay.